Andy, and today I'm going to be sharing how I usually shoot and edit self-portraits. Since it's still so hard for me to organize and plan out shoots because of the pandemic, I try to exercise my creativity by conceptualizing and producing photos of myself. Whenever I'm planning on taking some self-portraits or planning a shoot in general, the first thing that I do is I scroll through Pinterest. This is where I find inspiration and pegs. For this shoot, since I still have some flowers, I decided to do a layout with it. So I gathered a bunch of photos that used flowers as props. Usually when I'm doing self-portraits, I try to be not super ambitious with my pegs. I usually go for simple and achievable photos because it's super hard having to adjust the height and the angle of your camera and tripod all the time since you're shooting alone. For my equipment, I used a Manfrotto B3 Advanced Aluminum Travel Tripod, and for my camera, I'm using my Sony A7 II. I use an app called Imaging Edge Mobile, and this is specifically made for Sony cameras. It serves as sort of a remote, and I can also see on my phone what my camera sees. The only thing that I hate about this app though is the timer is just 2 seconds, so within that time, you have to hide your phone. For my outfits, if not basics, I usually just go for a top or an outerwear that stands out. But for this shoot, I opted for a monochromatic nude look. Usually, outfits with the same color of shades create the illusion that you spent a lot of time and effort on creating that specific look. I opted for a nude look since my pop of color was my props, which is the flowers. Although I still had a bit of flair on my top, which was the interesting detail on my cuff. I figured it would look perfect for the look that I was going for, which is ethereal, warm, and dreamy. As I mentioned earlier, whenever I shoot, I usually try to make it really simple. So for this one, I use the white wall as my background. If you don't have a white wall at your home, you can just use a white cloth instead. I edited these photos on the same day because when I let these sit for a while, I usually am not as motivated to edit. So while the photos are still fresh to my eyes, I try to work on it right away. The first thing that I do is I go through my shots and select the photos that I want to edit. This is where the initial selection happens. I then open these photos on Photoshop's Camera Raw. This is where I usually edit my photos. I also use Lightroom, but I'm more comfortable and used to Camera Raw since I just started using Lightroom last year. I'm a fake photographer. I then find a photo that I want to work on. The first thing that I do is adjust the basics. I drag down the contrast and highlight since I wanted this photo to look soft. So it really helps a lot when you already know how you want your photos to look like. I usually just play around with the settings until I find what looks nice. For the colors, I wanted my skin to pop out, so I dragged the oranges and reds up. For the split toning, I usually just add a hue of orange for extra warmth. Then I add some grain. I tweak some more minor adjustments, and when I'm finally happy with the colors, I just select all the photos and synchronize the edits. Then I go through the photos one by one again to check if I need to do some adjustments since the lighting isn't the same for every photo. This is also where I crop the photos. To have more variety in your photos, you can play with the cropping and make it really zoomed in or crop just the details. This can make your set of photos more interesting since it has more variety. I also make use of the spot healing tool on Camera Raw to get rid of my visible marks. For the second look, I opted for a black blazer, some heeled boots, and a pair of light watch thinner. Since I was wearing a deep V-neck blazer, I wore 2 layers of gold necklaces. For the second look, I wanted it to look a bit bolder, edgier, and more powerful. When I was trying out my outfits after I finished showering, I noticed that this outfit looked great with messy, wet hair. So kind of wetting my hair helped elevate this look. Since I didn't change my makeup at all, I feel like this little detail helped change and bring so much more character to the layout. I also was super struggling with the wind, so the wet hair look helped a lot. When you're shooting self-portraits, it's really all about trial and error. Making little adjustments with your hair, your pose, how you tilt your head, until you find what works for you. For the second layout, I wanted it brighter, sharper, and more contrasty, so I just made the necessary adjustments. I also again adjusted the saturation of my oranges and yellows so my skin can pop out. Here you can see I adjusted the basics a bit more, and for the tone curve, I just dragged the darks and shadows down to make the black parts of the photo look deeper, making the whole look stronger. And again, just using the heal tool to get rid of visible spots and marks. I really didn't do much editing for this set because I already liked how it looked like. I just made some really minor adjustments with the contrast, a bit of adjustment with the oranges and yellows again. On Photoshop, I just clean out the spots on the white background and clean more marks on my face. And here are the final photos. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed watching my process. Let me know what you think. If you got inspired by this and you also took your own photos, I would love to see it. Send your photos my way. And again, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. See you again next time.